Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cindy. Thank you so much for being here today. To my new subscribers, thank you so much. For the commenters and thumbs up, also greatly appreciated. So you're going to be seeing this on September 27th. I am recording it a couple of days early. What I wanted to do today was take a look at goes on within the Trump family. Now that their legal woes are worsening and worsening, things are getting more and more difficult. Just thought I would take a peek and see how things are around the family, dinner table. So, for those of you, who are looking around going, what's going on with her face? Why is she so pale? I live in Alberta, okay? There is so much sunlight here, and really there's very few places I can go in my home that don't have direct sunlight coming in. So sometimes I'm going to look pale, sometimes I'm going to look shadow. That's just kind of the luck of the draw here. Okay, so I do have my pendulum in case I have a strong desire to ask any yes or no questions. I just unplugged myself. There we go. Okay, so let's see what's been going on. Trump family has a lot of legal woes. Trump Sr. has even more of them. Trump's approval numbers are tanking. Joe Biden's are rising. A lot of the, not all, but a lot of the Republican nominees that are going to be impacted by this coming midterm election are not doing well. They're scrubbing their site. All of a sudden, who was that one guy somewhere in the East who, he was gonna stop all the corruption because Joe Biden stole the election. And then, I don't know, a week or so ago, he was like, no, I reviewed everything, the election. Yep, the election's accurate. People, so yeah, there's kind of a lot going on. And it's good to see that the Dems are continuing to make headway. Joe Biden is like a little bit of a firestorm in some of these rallies and places that he's attending. He's focused, he's personable, and he's making his point. Trump, on the other hand, truly is becoming so unhinged that actually sometimes he sounds more radicalized than those who have been radicalized. So that's going on. It's not playing well, okay? Because the only people who really think it's fabulous, that he thinks, QAnon is great, are people who are in QAnon, right? And the like. And so most people who, are pretty okay living in objective reality, it's getting worse and worse for him. And honestly, so it should. Some of you may still be really a little frazzled or disappointed about the fact that Matt Gaetz apparently will not be facing any charges pertaining to the sex trafficking crimes. Apparently, what they're saying is that they don't have strong witness reliability. So, I can make no further comment on that. But for those of you who are disappointed, remember, karma seems to be doing a very, very good job of turning around and biting people in the butt these days. And so, trust that karma will take care of what karma needs to take care of. It is all about balance in the universe. And when things are out of balance, they have to get corrected, right? Okay, here we go. Are you ready for it? Come on down, I have a question. Okay. Trump family currently. Trump family currently, Trump family currently. Let's just see what's going on around their dinner table, shall we? Okay, we've got the Queen of Cups, Two of Wands, Judgment, and the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, let's just start with these four. So, Trump, is really scared of females, in my opinion. And he really doesn't like it when they're smarter than him, which I'm sorry is probably a significant part of the population, or they come after him. And when he can't push back with insults or, uncalled for sexual and, desertion, insults, when he really is not left with no choice, that fear is sort of allowed to grow inside of him. And there are some, female attorney generals, prosecutors who are really, really not seeing him in a very favorable light. You can tell. I mean, the females that he has on his legal defense team are Barbies. And that actually truly is no insult to Barbies, or maybe an insult to Barbies. So for some reason, this is showing that the female prosecutors right now seem to be not only worrying him the most, but worrying the family the most, which sort of makes sense, right? Because that would fall into the Letitia James situation and the New York City and that whole thing. As I said before, that thing is going to take quite a while to wind down, so we can expect to see immediate results, but results we will see. It's really strange because right now, in some way, it feels like the family is almost waiting for the other shoe to drop. It feels very much like they're sort of trying to figure out how much worse it could get. And again, remember, they're the ones who did the crimes. And so, they know what's still out there. They know what hasn't yet been investigated or caught or, come under the watchful eye of the law. So there is a great, great deal of consternation and concern within the family about what else could happen. And, this is the thing. You have to remember this. If daddy falls, the family falls. Okay? Because honestly, truly, truly, who in corporate America is going to hire one of the Trump adult children for a job, like a real job, like a job where you actually have to have, an education and smarts and experience? They're well aware of the fact that, and that's actually part of what's going on, is their lawyers, the more serious ones, have not been sugarcoating this for Trump and the family. And so they have a great deal of clarity about exactly how much trouble they're in. Now, and that's part of the reason why you see these almost like flashpoint, rages coming from them. Because the more bad news they get, the more out of control they spiral, and nobody apparently can get them to be quiet. And they just they get on a roll, and they just don't think about what they're saying. But meanwhile, prosecutors are writing it down and saving film clips. The primary concern, honest to God, not surprisingly, is the money. They don't have as much as they like to profess, and it very much looks like they're going to use more. You have a lot of resources being spent sort of securing the lawyers and, trying to stay on top of their legal woes, if you will. In some ways, honestly, they just don't know which way to turn. And let's face it, for all of their lives, they have either been, as in Trump, or his children have watched how they have wheeled and maneuvered out away from trouble. They've always gotten away with it. And so part of what's going on within the family dynamic is this sort of like, oh crap, we're really, really in trouble. We're going to be poor. We're going to be destitute. Everybody's going to shun us. Oh, don't worry about it. We've dealt with this kind of stuff before. We always manage to wiggle out of it. We're going to be fine. And so there's kind of this kind of imbalance of reality on both sides of the equation, because in some ways, even though their lawyers are doing their level best to say, whoa guys, you're in big trouble, they're sort of still in a reality where, but they really don't need, they shouldn't be, they just do what everybody else does. And so part of them just doesn't want to see clearly, and they don't think, let's not forget, just days before James came out and kind of, told us a story of that 200 plus page affidavit. Trump's lawyers had tried to negotiate with her. And that's what they do, right? They always buy themselves out of trouble. But this time, I think that she wasn't having it, because not only does she want money, like not only does she want to hit them in the pocketbook, but she also wants to ensure that they can't carry on and do this kind of stuff in New York again. So there's kind of that. So when I step into the family energy, what I get is sort of a lot of bickering, a lot of squabbling, a lot of this is your fault. I told you we shouldn't have done this. And the other side of it is, and to be fair, like most families, that expression, I can bitch about my sister, but don't you dare. It applies to any member of anybody's family, right? So they will continue to present a united front publicly. They're all rah. They're all going to be fine. It's all good. Don't worry about it. This is a witch hunt. This is a sham. This is right-wing Democrats trying to destroy us. But behind the scenes, it is a very, very different energy and a very, very different story. A lot of, oh my goodness, these cards just are going from bad to worse. A lot of concern. And, they are getting money from somewhere above and beyond the ridiculous fundraising that's going on. But there is also some lender who has lent him, I don't know whether it was Trump personally or the organization, a lot of money to pay out some of the debts that were coming up. And so, this is what he does, right? He owes, Sam $200 million, and he gets John to give him a loan for $300 million so he can pay $200 million to Sam and carry on, or to Jack and carry on. So this is what he does. It's just he juggles financial balls. But it feels as if those balls are becoming numbered, or more importantly, it feels more like he is getting money from outside of the country, outside help. Now, we know that Jared got a whole wackadoodle of money from Saudi Arabia. We're not sure at this point how close him and Putin are. I think Putin's got his own problems right now. I mean, his country's deserting him. People are protesting in the streets as this latest limited mobilization, or whatever he called it, is not going well. So more and more, he's just going to turn to more underhanded, if you will, ways of trying to cope with the financial reality and the legal reality of his life. Let's not forget, one of the things that he in particular, but the family as a whole, is very, very good at is playing victim. We're being picked on, woe is me, look at how mean they're being to me. Can you imagine that they actually raided my home? It's not his home and they didn't raid it, but that's beside the point to them. So there's a lot of, in some way, really genuinely hurt feelings. That circle that is around, particularly senior, is tightening and tightening and tightening. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. He really is in a place where the only people that he can rely on or trust really are his adult children. The problem is that Tish James has also gone after them. And so while publicly they're presenting this strong front, I think the biggest concern comes from the fact that she also went after them, the three of them. And she's not going to back down. She's not going to say, okay, well, Daddy can take the fall and I'll let the others off the hook. And Daddy would never, ever say that. If anything, he's more likely to push somebody in front of him to take the fall. But she seems to be the biggest and most primary, because she's the one who really has the ability to limit their ability to go forward. And listen, it's not that they can't set up shop in some other country. They can, go set up, Trump Corporation 2.0 in Florida or anywhere else. But the point is their reputation has been so badly damaged that they're going to have a hard time sort of recovering from it. Lenders aren't going to be so willing to lend. People are not going to be so willing to entertain or enter business partnerships with them. So looks like that's the big scary one for them right now. Again, all of the lawsuits, all of the investigation, everything that is going on around them is being so well presented. It is such an unbiased, even though they scream it's not, but an unbiased reading of the law and justice. And the fact that, yeah, you know what, pretty boy, you are not above it. I don't care who says what. And by the way, you're really not that attractive to women. Sorry, I digress. And they just keep kind of, trying to whitewash it and make it so it's not there, but it very much is there. And, that is actually what's going to get them into create the most exposure for them, because they're in there with pros, okay? Like, you can't have people who are saying no. There is actually a very significant procedure for declassifying objects and storing those objects. And that procedure must be followed versus I just declassified everything because I could, because that's what the president can do. He's fighting against people who are so far above his pay grade or frankly his intellectual abilities that it's going to be it's going to be sort of miraculous if he doesn't end up in really serious legal trouble, okay? And the thing is because he is so driven, and they all are, but because he in particular is so driven by his emotions, his lawyers can't get him to be quiet because he just reacts with such volatility when he feels his ego has been, insulted or hurt or degraded. And so part of the problem is it is a spoken word in two ways. It is his spoken word that is going to continue to get him into more and more trouble. And it is the spoken words of the prosecutors and the investigators who, it can't be, it can't be diminished. It is so clear cut. It's easy to read. It's easy to understand what he did and what's going on. So, that's kind of it. So it really does feel that in the family, There is a great deal of worry about exposure, and this seems to apply kind of almost equally to all four of them. Stuff is coming out and people don't like it, okay? So, like, one of the things is that, and this is old news, that the donations that have been pouring into Trump to, for his legal defense or to whatever that latest scam is, he's been paying not Ivanka, Melania's stylist. You ready for this? $18,000 a month. People are going to start waking up. The polls are getting bad. People are going to start really questioning if he's even fit, if he's even capable. And even to the degree that some of those people who donate to him are going to stop. Again, there is that percentage of Republicans who are not going to back away from him. They're going to stay like strong, good little soldiers. But he's losing ground. He's losing ground with the Republicans. And, the question becomes is, well, what happens after that? What happens? What do the Republicans themselves do? Well, this looks like what the Republicans themselves do. As more and more bad fortune falls upon the family, they're going to slowly start trying to kind of try to unite the party. The problem is the party is ununitable at this point because truly it is snapped in two, and the two sides, not only are they unequal because the Trump followers are far more dug in and far more serious than the few who actually are willing to say, yeah, no, this isn't good. And so I said a long time ago that it would take at least 3 or 4 election cycles before the Republicans could actually really get a solid foot in the door based on the damage that, it's not only that they did, but based on the damage that they allowed to happen and condoned, okay? And again, here comes the law. And senior and junior and, the little girl and the little boy, they're all in big trouble. And justice is coming for them. The law is coming for them. And honestly, they really, really can't keep up with the speed with which everything is happening and everything is coming at them. But you know what? The end is going to come because the end always comes. And in this time, I don't think it's going to be a very soft landing for any of them. Okay. So, hi, Twyla. Hello, little girl. Tomorrow are the J6 hearings. Now, they keep sort of referring to these hearings as a wrap up or kind of like the last one. I'm not getting that. I never got that. I always said that there were going to be at least 2, if not 3, additional hearings that took place sort of after the summer break. So tomorrow on Wednesday is the first one, or it's on Tuesday. Maybe it's later today. Anyways, you all, I'm sure, have it marked on your calendars. That is not going to be the last time we hear from this committee. In addition to the final report they submit, I am almost positive there are going to be additional public hearings because they haven't stopped gathering information. And of course, the public is dying to know what Ginny Thomas had to actually say, and if Mike Pence is actually going to agree to sit down. So there's lots of stuff that we want to know, and I think that those hearings are going to continue. So get your popcorn, buckle up. All right. Take really good care of yourself. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.